Hey all, Marty here with Warehouse and Operations as a Career again. We appreciate you checking in with us this week. Where are we at? We're already at week 8 of the year. By now, we should all be settled in with our goal. Are you sticking with your plan? We only have 5 more weeks in this first quarter. This week I was scrolling through some job board groups on Facebook and ran across several questions about how do I obtain a CDL license for free and how do I get my A and or B license. After reading all the replies, a few were just downright dangerous. I wanted to chime in with a few thoughts. So today let's talk about 3 avenues that I'm familiar with. First off, we have those schools where you pay X amount of dollars to attend. Now, it's a school, so we're not being paid. And yes, they're pretty good. And if you have a plan, maybe a buddy who owns a transportation company that'll hire you and give you a chance to get some experience on the road, this is the shortest route for you. But think about this. They're definitely going to teach you how to drive the tractor, its gearing, braking, etc., all the regulatory and safety principles, the hook and unhook, procedures, hauling a trailer and being a professional truck driver. And yes, they're going to take us out on the road. You'll get quite a bit of on-the-road experience, and the DOT testing is typically going to be included. You'll have your license, but no real experience as of yet. Is an employer going to put you in their units with, let's say, $250,000 worth of their product in a trailer on the road? Or maybe you're applying for a delivery or route driver job. Are they going to entrust us with, say, 25 stops of product and allow us to interact with their customers when we have no experience dealing with alleyways, parking lots, or city driving at all? Last month, I interviewed a young gentleman for a warehouse trainer position for order selectors. Now, he'd gone through one of these classes, and he paid quite handsomely for his tuition, only to find that the only offers he could get were for over-the-road positions or team driving jobs. He wanted something where he would be home, each night, or at least for most of the week. With his experience being in warehousing, an order selector actually, he'd gone back to what he knew, at least until he could figure out how to break into transportation, and with it fitting, his home requirements that he needed. Again, these schools are great. What we'll learn will be the right way to operate the big rigs, but we need to understand what they won't be able to give us is all that I'm really saying. This leads us into our second scenario. Now, this one is very popular. It's where we can sign up with one of the large trucking companies that offers a training program to its employees. In other words, we apply and are hired for their training program, and we commit to driving for them for a contractual amount of time. These can be great avenues for us if we can commit to that contract. It'll usually be agreeing to going over the road hauling their freight, probably starting off as a team driver. Now, being over the road is a great way to see the nation, and you'll definitely get those needed miles under the belt. But you could be gone from home for days, even weeks at a time. Now, if this works for your lifestyle or home life, this is a great shortcut to a driving career. And after a couple of years, we'll have the experience those local and delivery route employers are looking for. I know a lot of very successful drivers that started this way. Many went on to become owner-operators of their own tractors and trailers. Some started their own local transportation companies. Remember that contract I mentioned, though? If we quit or decide this just isn't for us, we may be obligated to pay back a tuition cost for all that training. Just something that we'll need to keep in mind. And now we're at the long game option, but it's free. We're getting paid and there's no contracts involved. If you're a longtime WAOC listener, you'll already know we believe there's no shortcuts to experience. The same holds true for transportation. I know many young men and women that started out in the warehouse working for a company and are now very successful delivery drivers. One of my close friends started out with a national food service distributor as an order selector. He, of course, learned every product and item they carried and where it was located. After about a year, he transferred into their inventory control department, then moved on into the returns area where he learned about their invoicing and the driver's responsibilities regarding paperwork, issuing credit codes, and returning product. After about a year of doing that, he went to the transportation department and let them know he'd like to become a route driver. Now, this particular company didn't have a driver training program, but many of your large distribution centers will. Anyway, the director hooked him up with a transportation supervisor that each evening would spend a little time with him in the tractor out on the yard. They ended up letting him go out on a few routes as a driver helper and helped him get his testing and operator's permit where he could occasionally drive with a driver on his routes. A long story short, after about a year of that, he was moved over to transportation and today is a 20-year veteran delivery driver for that very same organization. Oh, and another friend was working the inbound dispatch window. She'd been doing that for, probably 5 or 6 years. Knew everybody and one day decided she'd like to be a driver for their specialty meat and produce departments. Today, she is a recovery driver for her company. She's been doing that now for about 3 years, and one of her goals for 2020 is to get her Class B license and start driving straight trucks. I'm absolutely certain she'll complete that goal too. Now, I know 2 or 3 years seems like a long time, but I think if we're being realistic, it's really not. And I think we all agree that in just 3 or 6 months, we're not going to have the experiences to get out of all the situations a delivery driver will find him or herself in every day. I know a lot of people that have transitioned from warehousing into transportation. Some good paths seems to be from inventory control, the inbound departments. I know several driver helpers that are now drivers, and just about all the outbound side of things. All these really make sense as we're working closely with transportation supervisors and admins in those positions. Like we always say here at WAOC, learn a little about every position that touches yours. It pays off every time. In my experience, there's just no shortcuts to our careers. What better investment, though? Our happiness and livelihoods come from our career choices. We're probably going to be working for quite a while, at least until our golden years, and we're going to need to have the finances to get us through those. Hence, that's where the importance of planning and goal setting comes into play, folks. If you haven't planned out your goals, it's not too late. Get those 2020 plans done and know where you want to be in 2030. Well, another week's coming to a close. If we can help you get some answers to any questions, just email us at host@warehouseandoperationsasacareer.com. And remember, other listeners can help us all out too. Just use that little @ WHSEANDOPS on Facebook and Twitter both. Oh, and don't forget about the Facebook group Warehouse Equipment Operators Community to post any thoughts or questions that you may have. Until next week, research, self-educate ourselves, and above all, remember what we do can be dangerous. Please make safety our first thought every day.